So, born and raised in Ohio.
Yeah, right here, Tuscarawas County.
Born and raised in Tuscarawas County.
Yeah, 1990, graduated New Philly, grew up here in New Philly. Good family, very poor family, but a good family. And this is the only place I've ever wanted to be.
And you were elected sheriff 3 years ago? How did all that come about? Obviously got elected, but how did all that come about?
Yeah, so I started out on the road in uniform, and I was in patrol for a few years, and I then was assigned to the Detective Bureau, I think in 97, and spent then most of my career investigating serious crime. Tuscarawas County it's an amazing place to live. Great people, great communities, a bunch of small, little, wonderful communities that make one.
Yeah, sure. Villages.
Villages that make a greater, bigger county.
So you obviously have a lot of very good relationships with people in the community, and you're very invested in the community. Outside of this, what is it you do in the community?
Well, what I do is what I encourage everybody to do, and it doesn't matter how you do it. You know, you have to volunteer. Last year, I became pretty involved in feeding hungry kids in an organization called TUF. It's Tuscarawas United for Feeding Our Future. The TUF program is unique because it's working with Tuscarawas County Juvenile Court, other volunteers, the United Way, and they are ordering some of those kids that have gotten themselves in trouble to come. And each Saturday when we pack food, they receive some education on food insecurity and other important things, but then they move right into helping us pack food for these hungry kids. And there's a lot of stories behind it. These packages get delivered to the schools, and recently I got to talk to a secretary who said that it's more important than we even realize. Yes, we know there's hungry kids out there, but there's kids coming up to the office, checking daily when does the next package come. I mean, they're counting on it. If you want to help out the world, and you don't just want to complain about it, then that's what you do. You just roll up your sleeves and help someone. You can help someone by pulling weeds somewhere, at some organization, or you can feed hungry kids.
So you've shared a little bit about it, and it's safe to say nowhere is exempt from problems. Tuscarawas County is doing a pretty good job, all things considered, though, with the problem that's going on in this country. You're obviously up there with all of the leaders in this county, city, county, area. How do you feel the leadership working together and the impact they're making? Talk a little bit about that and the impact you feel like that's making.
Well, I think you could start with the frustration that people feel and voice towards Washington, D.C. Everything in life that's got success behind it is about relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think people sense that there's a lack of relationships in D.C., that people aren't spending that quality time to each other. They're spending more time wanting to blame another side. Doesn't matter which side you're in favor of. But here locally, it's completely different. I mean, all of the people that I work with, well, you're talking about the health commissioners at both the county and the city, or the county commissioners who are just wonderful to work with and are helping us on projects along to improve the facilities here. We discussed earlier off camera, Jody Sabo with the anti-drug clinic. These people, it's all a quick text. We eat together, we meet together, we laugh together, we're friends. And when you have a relationship with people, when you want, you to succeed, you and I have a relationship. Rick and I, we have a relationship together. We know each other outside of this piece that we're doing today. And when you want other people to succeed, you find a way to make that happen. If the judges want to help the jail conditions improve because of overcrowding, they do it because they care about all of us as employees and about the inmates as well. So I think it's very important to understand relationships. You need to know that somebody else has a family at home and know about their family and care about their family. And I think we're surrounded here locally by people who really love the people they work for. Our community has gone against specific legislative issues, and we did it as one. You saw firemen, policemen, health, prosecutors, counselors, people from every sect that just agreed that this was going to be bad for our community, a certain legislative agenda that was in place, and we all stood together and fought it and successfully.
Yeah.
And even when the state turns down some sort of initiative, I'm always proud to see that Tuscarawas County turned it down at a higher level. If we've bound together and stuck together, that we've been able to educate our folks through social media and our local media. And that's not something to joke about either. Our local media is very invested. You know, I mean, if we have a real problem in Tuscarawas County, we have local reporters who will tell the truth, but who care about their community. They're not trying to get a gotcha moment. They're trying to inform people and make the situation better. And I feel very lucky to get to work with reporters who know my children by first name, who ask about them. And I think the key to life is relationships.
How much of that starts at home for you?
In my house, it's pretty simple. I find that when I adopt bad habits, if I spend too much time on a sofa, my kids are spending too much time on a sofa right next to me. So they don't learn nearly as much from what we say as they do from watching us. So my 6-year-old son, my 22-year-old daughter, our other kids are all grown that they have volunteered with us. You know, my 6-year-old has been there packing food, learning about that, and he's told other grown-ups about it and why it was important to do. And you just can't let television or video games raise your family. It's an intentional thing. I mean, you have to intentionally do that. You have to let them know that they're the most important thing. When I'm gone, it's the kids left behind that they'll tell my story. You know, they'll be the judges of whether I did my part or not. The best moments of my life have nothing to do with vacations or locations. They have to do with just sitting around a table.
Who you were with.
And who you were with, and laughing and spending time with people, whether it's your family or friends. So I think that's the key to a healthy community. That's the key to a healthy government. I think that's why our local government probably exceeds others, and that's probably the key to the unhealthy government in DC. You know, I know congressmen and senators, I've spoke to them privately. They're very frustrated by it, and I think it's a direct example of why things are failing at a level there. It's we've got to get it back to where we always treat each other as people first.
As Tuscarawas County Sheriff, what different responsibilities does your job entail?
Well, the Sheriff's Office has 5 main divisions. You're standing in probably the most well-known and largest division of the 5. You're in the male housing area of the Tuscarawas County Jail. But in general, we have 5 divisions. We have the Road Patrol Division, the Detective Division, the Civil Division that serves papers for the courts and sells homes at sheriff's sale. We have the 911 centers under the control of the sheriff, as well as the Detective Bureau. So we have 5 big divisions, and a lot of work goes through this building.
I could imagine. And how often do you see people coming back through? More than once, twice, 3 times?
Right, so the jail was built in '92. At the time it was built, it more than tripled the capacity of the old jail, so it had a lot of openings back then. Now it's always at or over capacity. This area here has several different pods. It's a pod jail, so that it segregates people a lot more by their severity of offense, as well as other factors of concern, medical and different things that go into classification. But we've got maximum, medium, minimum housing, and we've got some disciplinary housing right behind us here, stuff like that. So the sad part is that when this jail was built, it was built for 88 males and 12 females, and back then we would only have 3, maybe 4 females at a time, and it was bad checks, maybe a domestic incident, a few various offenses, but they were rarely did you have capacity of females. Now we'll have in the 30s all the time in females, and that is almost entirely addiction.
It's not my first time in a county jail. I was making a joke as I walked in today through the main lobby that this might be the first time I ever came through the main lobby of a county jail. I've not had to do that in well over 10 years as my life has been changed now. But I say that to say, what takes place here to help not just incarcerate, but rehabilitate as they're here? What do you guys do to help with that?
Well, it's funny because I think most people would have a perspective that law enforcement only cares about locking people up, put them away. But you're standing here filming 5 feet away from a corrections officer that saved an inmate's life in here. We are very much involved in several programs. The current jail administrator today is viewing and auditing another program that's taking place in a state prison that we're considering back here. As you came in today filming, we had a faith-based group called New Beginnings, who is in here very regularly working with inmates, and it's a program we're very supportive of. Our office gets to participate every week with the county's quick response team. So even before they're coming in here, we're sending a deputy out every week with a counselor and an emergency medical professional, trying to get those people who overdosed help before they even get charged or come into this place. Suicide attempts are way up in a county jail and in every county jail, according to the information I get from my partners in other counties. And I think there's a lot of depression going on. I think that these individuals make bad choices to use these drugs, and then they have trouble living with those choices later as they see the decisions they've made in life. And then they come in here, and you can walk around at certain parts of the day, and other days you're locked away. But the truth is, the world's passing you on the outside, and it's got to be a very depressing thing. And people that I grew up with, and in this case, we've got one close here that I played Little League football with in 5th grade. He's 10 feet from us right now. So it's a pretty devastating thing. I think most people don't really want to know what it's like in a county jail. They're just happy that those individuals who are committing crimes are put away. But it's a depressing place to be. It's hard for the employees to be in here. I mean, this is their setting. They're working 12 hours a day in this setting as well.
Sure.
You can go through the greatest treatment ever, but if you're dumped outside alone and the only people that are waiting for you are the people that helped get you here, you're not going to have a great deal of success.
That's a fact. I can speak from experience. How important do you think family dynamics is to ending some of the problems we're facing right now as communities, in the jail communities?
Well, so I've been working for the county now 29 years, 26 years with the sheriff's office. So I can honestly say that not everybody that ends up with serious addiction issues have a bad family unit, but I can also tell you that the majority do.
So you alluded to it, and this is obviously a tough environment. Mm-hmm. See a lot of stuff here. What's in place, what goes on to help all the employees here stay in a good space, mental health wise?
Well, it's funny because the things that make them successful are often some of the same things that make people successful on the street, is having friends and a family unit that's very supportive. Of course, there is some programs that they would be entitled to through the county, which is like critical, stress debriefing and counseling that is offered through the insurance. And in a couple of recent conversations that I've had with employees, that's been something they really struggled with. I think when you envision working in a jail, you envision one thing, and then when you're back here 12 hours a day, I can't imagine a more difficult work setting. Mm-hmm. A lot of times the inmates are in situations where, not necessarily because of the punishment they're facing, but just because of the life they're living. They don't feel like they've got anything to lose by acting in a negative way. We do get people back here for very serious offenses. We've had many, many, many people back here who've been told they will never see the light of day. They have, life in prison without the possibility of parole. But more so, I don't think that many of these inmates think their life's ever going to get any better than what it is. This is as good as it gets. So they are not acting in a way that they're trying to improve their life in here. They don't know the way. That makes it very difficult on the employees. And they're in here, they're doing a lot of good, but it's all behind closed doors, and
sure.
And you only hear about the negative things. So
yeah.
I'm pretty proud of the staff. But as far as the things that they get offered through the county, while there are a lot of types of counseling and things that are needed, mostly it's them bringing to the table the personality and attitudes to persevere. They're determined to make it, and they make their career. And imagine doing 30 plus years back here where you're basically locked up yourself 12 hours a day. I can't tell you how many lives have been saved back here by these employees that are not paid enough and definitely aren't appreciated enough.
So you've been pretty open about your faith. How does your faith affect your day-to-day on this job?
Well, what I told you before was I didn't grow up in church. I think when you work in a profession where you see the more significant problems the community has, faith becomes even more important. And faith is really just about a relationship and love. Something I've already talked about as being, I think, really important. I think you have to love the people you serve. I mean, really love them, because they're difficult sometimes. Some of those people are very difficult, and you have to have a relationship with those people. The people I work with, the people that work in other capacities in the county, the judges and counselors, and all the people trying to fix these problems. So I think faith comes into place because you're spending your life, you're trying to take care of people, you're trying to make life better for them, and I think it's nice to know that there's someone who's trying to do that for you and your family. And it's probably the most important relationship, because I think that when you believe that someone so great cares about you and believes in you and your family, I believe it gives you confidence.
It's very obvious in our conversation the heart you really have for community, to see families thrive, to see a healthy community where people are invested and taking responsibility for their community. That being said, there is a drug epidemic going on, and there's no way around that. With the slight decrease that's been going on in the overdose statistics, do you feel like that's a good indication that we're actually turning a corner on this thing? Or have people just changed drugs that they're using? Or what do you see with all that in the community?
Well, I'm very happy to see less deaths, but I'm not seeing less addiction at all. We're still in the fight. We do seem like there's a lot more people getting addicted on a daily basis and are getting well, but I'm telling you, people are getting well.
You're right.
There are people who come through it. I have many good friends and know you, and you've had your struggles, and others, people who looked like they had no way out, looked like their future was set for them, and then all of a sudden their life is turned around, and they've got a family, and they're doing great, and they're working, and they're in faith, and they're happy, and they no longer find a need for those substances. So, that's what we've got to impress upon people.